Welcome, wanderers of feeling and quiet investigators of what hides behind the sparkle. You've arrived at the harbor of heart talk, you're on whispers of Turkish stars. Tonight, I ask you to dim the room, hush the rush of your day, and tune in to that frequency where a single line can echo louder than a stadium cheer. The world is sprinting toward its shiny promises, but we are going to pause and look closely at a flicker, a gentle signal that somehow roared. Our focus is on Alina, on Navruz, and on a sentence that stopped mid-air on New Year's Eve, holding its breath while millions of admirers forgot to take theirs. It isn't a goodbye story. It's a lesson on how to stand tall when the lights burn bright. If you value depth over noise, leave a like, subscribe to travel beneath the surface with us, and if you want to help sustain this space of heartfelt storytelling, the join button is your backstage pass. Ready to understand what lives inside three simple dots? Let's begin. Picture it, the planet leaning toward 2026. Big city streets drowning in confetti storms, fireworks clawing at the sky, crowds counting down in chorus as if sound could shove time forward. Glasses knock and ring, recycled promises sparkle like old ornaments polished anew, all of it packaged for the feed. In this time when everyone feels obligated to display their joy, one woman chooses the opposite. Alina, a face the audience recognizes instantly, refuses to feed the scroll with another staged moment. No glitter-shot toast, no sleek caption pieced together by a brand team, no pre-wrapped bliss built for an algorithm. She sends out a single line instead, clean and cutting, like a door left slightly open to a room we're not sure we're invited to enter. It isn't a filtered glimpse of her porcelain glow. It isn't a triumphant crow about career or a movie poster declaration of everlasting love. It is just a thought that thumps, stopping right where the heart would skip. In 2026, the only change I hope for is, then silence. A thought suspended. An ellipsis humming louder than a shout. Naturally, Istanbul's rumor engine, always warmed up, redlines immediately. What hides inside that pause? Alina, cherished and yet dissected by endless eyes, grew up under lenses and learned how to breathe behind them. And beside her is Navruz, composed, quietly intense, a leading man whose discipline is admired on set and whose steadiness feels like a refuge when the day is over. Their calendars rarely agree, their lives are a puzzle of obligations never quite clicking into place. Their names, side by side in a headline, can ignite imaginations in seconds. So the questions rise like a tide. Is that half-sentence a veiled complaint thrown his way? A warning masked as poetry? Or the first tremor before an emotional aftershock? The tabloids do what tabloids do, they press at glossy edges until they convince themselves a crack exists. They hunt for rupture, for tears in the fabric, for crisis dressed in sequins. But listen closely to the tone, and you'll notice what's missing. There is no panic in Alina's post. None of the frantic, breathless energy that clings to last-minute escapes or public implosions. Instead, there is calm. Precision. The cadence of someone who knows how to find the floor when the room tilts. This isn't a flare fired from a sinking ship. This is a measured adjustment, the quiet voice of a captain who stopped obeying 1,000 shouts from shore to chart her own route in open water. Whispers from those who know Alina away from microphones confirm it. That ellipsis wasn't a champagne trick or a passive-aggressive skit. It was the distillation of months spent stepping back from the roar to hear her own tone again. She's done waiting for life to surprise her. She's interested in shaping it. And to calm jittery hearts, let's declare something right now. She isn't searching for a new face to stand beside her, a fresh entourage, or an escape route to some other coast. She is aiming for a different rhythm. A recalibrated exchange of energy. A reset of what the world is allowed to witness and what belongs in the vault. She's not trying to recast her partner, she's rewriting the terms of the script. Those who read her closely can trace the outline of that shift. She isn't asking Alp to become someone else, their tenderness is real, rooted, tested. What she wants is more honesty and less show. A breath that slows when the media gusts grow fierce. Steady your footing when agendas, speculation, and strangers wear away the edges of their days. Fewer audition tapes for public approval, more unguarded minutes. Where she once sanded down her words to avoid unsettling anyone, now she's ready to let truth be soft without being small. For years, the public framed Alina and Alp as a shimmering ideal, effortless, picture-perfect. The pair turkey could not stop watching. But take away the red carpets, the flights crossing time zones, the fan pages cataloging every glance, and you're left with two people trying to build a home in a crowded hallway. Two serious careers. Two calendars that keep missing each other. A chorus outside the window that never gets tired. Under pressure like that, Alina's hunger for change starts to look less mysterious and more logical. Sources describe her aim simply: a life drawn around clarity and boundaries, not a circus where whoever shouts the loudest gets to write the script. It's easy to say, the impact is vast. Both Alina and Alp have surfed tsunamis of misunderstanding, screenshots stripped of context, rumors sprouting overnight, messages twisted by a dozen kindly but clumsy messengers. Their North Star for 2026 isn't separation, despite all the nervous whispers. It's protection. She wants a circle where only two voices are allowed to give final edits, her own and his. Not distance from love and active defense of it. Have you felt this before? That the outside world somehow earned a seat at your kitchen table, a say in your private language? Do you think shutting the door will make what's inside stronger? Tell me in the comments. And if this kind of deep dive resonates, pressing join is the best way to keep Whispers of Turkish Stars alive, so we can keep bringing you stories that breathe. A cornerstone of her plan is shrinking her digital footprint. Friends translate her mantra like this: more living, fewer explanations. In an age that confuses visibility with warmth, Alina is stepping out of the beam. She's told confidants that joy doesn't expand in a broadcast booth. Sometimes it dissolves there, diluted by projection and misreadings. Moving her heart to safer rooms isn't a magic trick, it's maintenance of the soul. She believes a bond not narrated for an audience will be kinder, sturdier, and built to last. Less performative closeness, more real nearness. Fewer eyes, stronger walls. As the outer voices fade, she expects to hear her own instincts again and his thoughts, unguarded until something firm and quiet begins to hum between them. You can't speak about Alina's path without noticing how Alp is shifting alongside her. People in his orbit say one word keeps surfacing when he talks: balance. He's the kind of artist who drills a moment until it looks effortless, who pushes until a scene breathes like it's alive on its own. To hear him talk about recalibration isn't surrender, it's reordering. He isn't loosening his grip on the craft, he's making sure the man wearing the costume still gets oxygen. That both of them reach the same conclusion as the calendar turns feels less like coincidence and more like alignment. Over a small New Year's Eve dinner, just trusted friends, low light, quiet music, Alp is said to have put it like this: we're not chasing a brand new life, we're refining the one we already cherish. Let that settle. Fewer storms, deeper roots. Fewer texts from a distance that go sideways, more talks held eye to eye. Fewer ovations counted in views, more laughter that belongs to no one else. Together, they're writing the house rules for a stronghold built not of stone but of daily choices, refusing to let set stress capture the couch, refusing to store up tender conversations until fatigue cracks them, promising each other trust before listening to the crowd. Maybe the bravest part of Alina's turn is the refusal to confuse kindness with appeasement. She knows her public silhouette. The softened edges, the warmth that settles tension, the smile that steadies a room. But making peace and being pleasing are not the same thing, and dignity sometimes disappoints those who preferred you pliant. Those near her say she's retiring from the job of cushioning everyone else's comfort. Following her inner compass will look like cleaner boundaries, short and guilt-free no's, fewer long explanations meant to win a unanimous nod. It's not retaliation. It's a new seating chart for the theater of her days. Chaos starters go to the back. Those who bring patience, curiosity, grace, like Alp, move toward the center. Call it emotional hygiene if you want. Call it a reset written in the name of mental clarity. Either way, the point is growth. And growth can unsettle anyone who loved the earlier version, the one who smiled while the room swallowed her voice. Audiences who came for the big singles don't always celebrate a new setlist. But artists evolve. Alina is revising the order of her songs. So what about that unfinished sentence? If you look closely, the message brightens like dawn over the Bosphorus. 2026 isn't about departing. It's about strengthening the load-bearing walls. That fragment wasn't a flare for help. It was an architectural plan. Alina is done pleading with the weather, she's building a shelter that doesn't mind the rain. She wants the outer volume low enough to hear the two voices that matter most. Her own and the man she loves. Not adrift, not on display, needing in a space where fame and fear run out of breath. A small room with simple phrases, thoughtful quiet, and boundaries that feel less like fences and more like warm, protective walls. Inside that room, love stops auditioning. It becomes a practice. Fewer carpets dyed red, more socks on kitchen tiles, and coffee that never makes it to a post. Fewer staged moments, more promises kept in the ordinary. You can almost feel it already. The soft hum of two lives aligning in ways the camera can't capture, by intention and repetition, again and again. We have reached the closing measures of this reflection. Alina Boz and Navruz are holding up a mirror none of us expected and all of us need. Real love doesn't strain to be seen, it works to be safe. If this vision of steady, conscious affection speaks to you, if you also long for a 2026 of more life and fewer words, tap that like. Share this with someone who needs the reminder that privacy is a right, even for names and lights. Subscribe and set the bell so you don't miss the next quiet chapters of a story being written in whispers. Thank you for listening. A warm embrace from Whispers of Turkish Stars. Until next time.